So is Redfall worth your time and your money now that they've released update number 2, which includes the 60 frames per second console patch, as well as other quality of life and gameplay improvement features? That's what this video is going to explore. So hello everyone, and welcome to another Redfall video. My name is Brian if you happen to be new to the channel, but if you're part of the returning subscribers here, almost 75,000 of you guys, thank you so much for taking a chance on the content here at the channel. Now let's start this off with setting the stage and let you guys know Redfall is not a $70 game. In fact, my personal belief is that most games really aren't worth $70, and the market reflects this because $70 ends up being kind of a hype tax. So when you think about that hype tax, it's also the same thing. Is Redfall going to see a resurgence of hype and excitement? Well, maybe with the Halloween season. As we are in October, I think that is a critical component to why people are going to want to check out this game again. But I would encourage you guys to find it not at $70. So if you're trying to decide if you want to spend money on this game, I would easily come in at a maybe within the $40 to $50 range. And that's usually my general price to pay. Like same thing that I felt with Forspoken. A lot of people were hating on that game. But at $40, it ends up being, I think, a really decent kind of experience because the cost of the game and the enjoyment of the game somehow are correlated, even if there isn't a direct link that I can say this price equals this, value at this genre. There is obviously a lot of things at play, and your opinion and your time really matters. And so for Redfall in and of itself, it is a time-based question. And that's real where I kind of fall in and with playing the update and seeing how much they fixed with it, playing it on 60 frames per second, playing it and having a really good time. It's a perfect month for it. We're talking about October for Halloween. And I think that's where all of a sudden you start to kind of get, if you're looking for that kind of spooky game fix, if you're looking for some vampire slaying, fun, if you're looking to even team up with your friends, that's still, in my mind, the one key thing that's holding this game back is how it relates to jump in and jump out multiplayer, being that you have to kind of host a game. It feels, the game hosting and the game setup, it does feel like you're stepping back in time. So if this game was released in like 2013, I don't think I'd have a problem with it, but it's 2023. Like, I would love to see them invest some time in how they can balance this out, fix this problem. And I'm going to label it a problem because it does annoy me because it isn't as easy as it should be, in my personal opinion. But if you're looking for a Halloween game, whether solo or playing with friends, I think playing with friends will make it less scary, but still playing a spooky game, vampire hunting game is perfect for the month that we're in this case. Now, if you're watching this video in November, that might not have the same value proposition. So just, plan your time and your games accordingly in this case. Now, let's talk about the true value of this game, and that's Game Pass. This isn't an advertisement. I'm not sponsored by Game Pass, and that's really where Game Pass ends up changing the value proposition of all of these games. I think that's where, when you start to think about October, or hell, even if you're just looking for something to play for a little bit of time, this being on Game Pass and the updates that they have added to the game in terms of its gameplay, which in terms of the controls and just how the gameplay experience feels, it feels so much better than it did several months ago. And while I was having fun prior to these updates, I still am quite impressed by what they've brought into play here. And I think that's kind of the important thing. When you look at what Game Pass is, one of my core issues with Netflix is that they tend to start seasons, start series, and they never really finish them off because they never got the mass appeal. And that's the value proposition for Netflix, should be that they should finish the series so that way they can have that element of, hey, you didn't catch this when it was coming out, but it's still there. It's a part of this library of games. And that's where I think Redfall needs to hit and needs to fall. And that's where, if they continue to support this game, which I don't know what level of interest they have because it is a new IP, and new IPs that don't hit it right out of the gate, well, there's not a huge amount of incentive for them to try and save it. However, I do want to give them a tip of the hat for continuing to deliver on the things that they promised that they deliver on. So my time experience so far with this game, has been limited. My schedule as a father of 6 kids does keep me from playing so much, but that's where Game Pass and also xCloud come in for the win. I have a Logitech G Cloud. If you guys haven't seen, I have a review of that device on this channel, and it is one of my favorite gaming devices, and it allows me to play games like RedFall, now also at that 60 frames per second, which really is a game changer. When RedFall was announced at 30 frames per second, like that was a major red flag. Even with Starfield at 30 frames per second, I play on PC on GeForce Now because I can get that 120 frames per second experience, and it is so much more ideal to my game time. And when I start to think about just how much time I have in my gaming bucket, that's where things start to get sliced up, and I tend to go with the easy of accessibility here. And that's, again, a point for RedFall, a point for 60 frames per second over another game in this case. But there's so much I think that they are doing in this game that for me appeals to me. It's always appealed to me. Again, when we talk about, like, if you've never seen any of my previous videos, my favorite monster in any kind of monster movie is the vampire. I think the vampires are the most interesting piece of this, and that was always something that kind of attracted me to what this game is. But I don't know if we'll see an update 3, and that's where, from the price perspective, I think you could easily get 20 to 40 hours, aka $20 to $40 of value out of this. You could pick it up just for the month of October as a part of your Game Pass, play it, set it down, and you would probably feel perfectly fine. It doesn't have to be a game that you complete. There's nobody who's going to probably give you internet points for actually completing RedFall out there, and that's okay. Like at the end of the day, like I said, I don't think this is going to be a huge wave of players coming back to experience the game. I do think for those of you who are on the fence or you never got a chance to play it, this is a really good time to step in. And if you're playing it as part of Game Pass, the value proposition is already there. And if you're playing it as just a part of wanting a spooky game for October, then the time proposition is there for you as well. Let me know if you decide to step in, if the updates solve or fix, or what your experience is, because I'd love to hear your thoughts. As always, sound off in the comments below, as that's a great way of sharing those thoughts with me. You can always tweet me or you can DM me too. That's just how I roll. Anyway, guys, hopefully that you got something good out of this video. Hopefully you have a wonderful and fantastic day, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. But until then, take care.